and in this time. We are going to begin on page 172 with Ma Tovu. And when we look at Ma Tovu really is that just when you look around and you realize what kind of morning you're in, what kind of moment in time that you're in, it's kind of our foundation of the service to say, how lucky are we to be right here in this place, in this time? I think also after all of these 20 years that we've been in this pandemic, at least that's what it feels like, to actually be back in 3 dimensions, to feel that energy from everybody else. And so look around where you are, look at the faces next to you, and also just do me one favor before we start. Introduce yourself to the person next to you that you do not know. Not the person you know, because you already know them. Tell them where you're from and what your hope is for this Shabbat. And so once you've done your introductions, take another big deep breath in and feel yourself slowly entering this room and this space and this time as we move into Ma Tovu.
Try that with me. Let's do that one more time.
Please join me on page 173. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware. We would lack the strength to sustain life before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofei chol basar umafli lasod. And so we move from the blessing over the body as really just the foundation. And once you appreciate, because without the body, the soul can't be here, and vice versa. And so we move from the blessing of the body into moving of the blessing over the soul.
Neshama, Shenata. Try that with me. Elohai neshama shenatata bi אשר בידו נפש כל חי ורוח כל בשרי.
And on page 178, we move to it's interesting. We always say the blessing over the study of Torah, and I see we're lucky we have Sonoma Country Day School here today. So welcome at school. We're happy to have you. And one of the interesting things when I first lived in Israel, I was taught was how different studying was in Judaism than it was here in the United States, because there was never a word for study. So when we say for the blessing of the study of Torah, it's not accurate because you cannot translate study. The word which we use is either learn, because why just study, but you're actually supposed to internalize it. But here, what Yedidyah is going to lead us in is la'asok, which is, as Kantarati was talking last night, she said, the onomatopoeia stuff you see in Hebrew, this is one of them. La'asok is like you're soaking inside the Torah, but here it's really engaging and wrestling and pushing back and questioning everything around you. So Yedidyah will be leading us on 178 as we move into that engagement with the words of Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah.
Amen. We are on page 184.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלינה ועלי היגיון וכינור ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך
Happy are those who dwell in your house. They forever praise you. Happy the people who have it so. Happy the people whose God is Adonai.
We're on page 188.
Emanu-El b'kodsho, Hallelu b'rki ha'uzo, Hallelu b'gvurotav, Hallelu kerov gudlo, Hallelu b'teka shofar, Hallelu b'nevel v'chinor, Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah. Hallelujah b'tov u'machol, Hallelujah b'minim v'yogav, Hallelujah b'tzimtz neshama, Hallelujah b'tzitz l'truah, kol anshama tehallel, kol anshama tehallel. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
I always think of that Psalm 150 with hallelujah, that it is the culmination of all the Psalms, that is, and all the Psalms go through all of the human emotions, from anger and sadness to happy and joy. And then it gets to this point of reminding us to just appreciate the breath that we're in. And then interestingly enough, we almost hit the reverse button. And the rabbis then take us to Shochen Ad, which tells us once you appreciate the breath, you're left with a choice in life of how you're going to approach this experience. You either on one hand can just kind of let life happen and not necessarily appreciate it and recognize it, and the other one is to say blessings at everything in front of you. To bless the moment that you're in, that we started blessing our bodies and our souls, the bread, it's the book, The Blessing of the Skinned. And so we move to Shochen Ad, which is that reminder to us that we're supposed to bless everything around us and say, thank you for this moment that we are in. We're on page 192.
I know that we have some guests here today, and also not everybody here is Jewish. There's a tradition in Jewish music of singing without words. We did it at the beginning of the service. We're going to do it again, actually with the same melody, and it'll eventually turn into that. But the teaching is actually that it's pretty simple. Sometimes there simply are no words. There are no words. I know I'm feeling that right now. So when we get to that part when we're singing without words, please, please, let's join together. Sharim titala udivrei tzadikim titbarach shochenad marum vekadosh shemo shochenad marum vekadosh shemo u'vilshon chasidim titromam u'vekerem kedoshim titkatash shochenat marum v'kadosh shemo shochenat marum v'kadosh shemo ay 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 lay 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 ay ay ay
Please rise and join us on page 195 for the Baruch Hu.
ay
Please join me on page 196. The world is sunlight, restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes, more welcome than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning. My Torah, my special human gift, is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, you who redeems the sun from darkness. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer Hamerot.
On page 198, we move to Ahava Rabbah, which, that word love, this great love we talk about, is interesting. It's not about how we feel, because oftentimes we think love is a feeling. It's not, it's an action. Oftentimes, if you talk about a person, you go, you know, I know my mom loved me because here's what she did for me. And so this is the rabbis counting all the ways that we know that we are loved in the universe. We're on page 198.
Adonai Eloheinu, chemla gedola v'tera, chamnata aleinu, ba'avur avoteinu ve'imotenu, shevat chodecha, shevat chodecha, shevat chodecha. ותלמדנו חוקי חיים, כן תכוננו ולמדנו, המרחם רחם, המרחם רחם עלינו, ותן בליבנו להבין, להבין ולהשכיל לשמוע, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור תורתך ויאהבה והערנינו בתורתך ותחבק ליבנו במצוותיך ויחר הלב אבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא והדקנו נגילה ונשמחה נגילה ונשמחה בשועתך כי לתמשך דעתו סלע באמת להודות לך יחך באהבה ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה.
Please join us on page 200. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol neodecha vechayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher Anochi Mitzavecha Hayom Alivalecha Vishinantam Livanecha Vidibarta Bam Bishivtecha Bevetecha Uvlechtecha Vaderech Uvshochbecha Uvekumecha Ushartam Leot Al Yadecha Vechayula Totafot Beinenecha Uvtaftam Al Mezuzot Beitecha Uvisharecha Leman Tiskeru V'asitem Et Kol Mitzvotai V'item Kedoshim Lelechem Ani Adonai Lechem Asher Otse'etiatem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot Lahem Elohim Ani Adonai Lechem
The Luck family asked me to sing this song this morning. Oops, I'm on. Can you hear me? All good. Okay.
You know, one of the things I love about that poem, some people call it a song, I'd call it a poem, is, you know, when it talks about that journey that we go on, that slowly in life we hope that those walls drop. And when those walls drop, we open up and realize that that journey, that cycle that we keep spinning around, is that there's love surrounded by all of it. I've been taught by Rabbi Jonathan Singer that this Micha Mocha, which we move into next, really is about that it is the most liminal of all spaces in the Torah, that it's, you know, as we're walking out of the darkness of Egypt, and you think we're in a place of joy, but we're actually standing in the middle of the sea with the walls of water on the cusp of collapsing on us. We realize we can't really control the liminality of what we're in. All we can do is just celebrate that we're in that exact moment, in that exact breath. And so the rabbis, they just drop in Micha Mocha here to remind you to just realize in the next few minutes we can just say, this is awesome. We are so lucky to be here. So please join us with that joy inside of you on page 204.
Adonai Sfatai Tivta Adonai Sfatai Tivta Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Adonai Sfatai Tivta Adonai Sfatai Tivta Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Agi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Velohei Avotenu Vimotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasei Avot V'Imahot, Umivi Gula Livnei V'Neihem, Leman Shemo Ve'ava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Kol Atah Rav Lechoshia, Morid Atah, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayeh Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umati Rasurim, Umlechayem Nantoli Shenei Afar, Micha Mocha Bal Gevurot, Umidol Elah, Melech Memitz Umlechayeh, Umat Mi'ag Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah Lechayot Hakol, Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayeh Hakol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים בו אותו בשממרו, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר,
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Gedol haaretz kevodo.
אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ.
Baruch Kevod Adonai Nimkomo.
אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו מלכנו, הוא מושענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון. הקדיש ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם נפאר ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Page 211. Yismechu v'malechotecha shomrei 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 Shabbat v'korei onek Shabbat Yismechu v'malechotecha shomrei 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 Shabbat v'korei onek Shabbat Mekadoshei Shvi Yishabbat כולם ישמעו ויחנו מתועב השבת ישמעו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת ישמעו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת והשביעי Rati da vole kinasto e shava va kemda diamim oi toi karata shava ismehu b'malekoteka shomrei 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 shava v'korei onek shava yismehu b'malekoteka shomrei 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 shava
I'm going to invite you to continue with your own individual prayer now in silence. You either can meditate inside of yourself with no words on the page, or really just counting appreciations. The rest of the week we think about what we need. Today we appreciate what we have. Or you can continue reading through the pages to page 219, and when you have finished, please be seated. So we now reach the very pinnacle section of our service as we move to take the Torah out of the ark and then pass it down from one generation to the next. So we have two ringers today of ark openers. They have been studying for this moment their entire life. So we have Hara and Tallulah, who will soon enough will have their own YouTube ark opening channel, and it'll become a huge hit. Please rise. I would also like to invite the family up onto the bima as we get ready to pass the Torah down through the generations. So if you'd like to follow along, we are in Bahar Sinai. We are on page in front of you. As Cantor Luck always likes to say, we have a book called the Torah, and he reminds us that it's a pretty good read. We're on page 946 inside the Torah. Yahamod Rishon, Yahamod Asher David ben Yaakov v'Fegel Shein, v'Tamod Yafa Chezel bat Mendel v'Pesel v'Tamod Sa Brianna bat Asher David v'Yafa Chezel v'Tamod Nechama Dima Ariel bat Asher David v'Yafa Chezel v'Yamod Ilan ben Chaya v'Moshe. First, to be called to the honor of blessing the Torah, Owen and Janet, Sari, Dina, and Elon.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe behar Sinai lemor Daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem ki tavo el haaretz asher ani noten lachem Vishavta haaretz Shabbat ladonai sheish shanim tizra sadecha v'sheish shanim tizmor karmecha ve'asavta et tzivuata.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
And so I heard one good Yasher Koyach, but we don't clap, we yell Yasher Koyach, which means may there be strength in you. So can I get a big Yasher Koyach? Yeah, it's a good start. We got some ways to go there. Ya'amod Sheni, Ta'amod Chana bat Chaya v'Yehuda, v'Ta'amod Aviva bat Gedaliah v'Chana, v'Ya'amod Chaim ben Avraham Yeshua, Elisha v'Tzipporah, v'Ta'amod Tamar bat Gedaliah v'Chana, v'Ya'amod Yonatan Michiel ben Yaakov Shulamit, v'Ta'amod Talia bat Gedaliah v'Chana, v'Ya'amod Asher Yosef ben Eliyahu v'Siral Malka, V'ya'amod Aharon Yaakov ben Gedaliah v'Chana. Second, to be called to the blessing the Torah, the entire Midwest. So while we have the Torah out, and before we start the Mishaberach, the second Aliyah, it is a good time to do the Mishaberach, a blessing for those who are in need of healing, either of body or of spirit, or sometimes both. So if there's someone who you are praying for right now who needs a healing blessing, if you please share their name when my hand passes over you. One second. Eager. I love the Luck family. They're eager.
A blessing first.
Yishberach Avatenu v'imotenu, Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah, Hu Yivarech et Acholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the blessed Holy One be filled with the compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and a complete renewal of spirit. And let us all say, Amen.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch atah Mevarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Uvashana hashvi'it. Shabbat, Shabbaton, Yeh la'aretz Shabbat l'Adonai, Sadecha lo tizra, v'charmecha lo tizmor. Sefiach ketzirecha lo tiksor, v'etinvei nezirecha lo tisor. Shinat Shabbaton, Yeh la'aretz, v'haita Shabbat ha'aretz lachem, le'ochla lecha, ulavdecha v'la'amatecha, Velisircha ultoshavcha hagavrim imach veliv hemtecha velachaya asher be'artzecha tihiyeh chol tevuata lechol.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chayei olam netzah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Yashikach. Yahamot Shlishi Tamot Siva Libabat Asha David V'Yafariziel V'Yamod Hachazan Ariel Yonatan Ben Gedaliah V'Chana. Third, to be called to the honor of blessing the Torah, two glowing parents.
Baruch et Adonai HaMavorach.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'safar talecha Sheva Shabbatot Shanim, Sheva Shanim, Sheva Pe'amim, V'chayu lecha Yemei Sheva Shabbatot Hashanim, Tesha Ve'arba'im Shana, V'ha'avarta Shofar Teruah B'chodesh Hashvi'i B'asor LaChodesh B'yom HaKippurim Ta'aviru Shofar B'chol Artechem. Yeah, here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'chayei olam natah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
So before we call the fourth Aliyah, which will be our bar mitzvah, I just wanted to take a moment and pause, because this is the moment right now that up until this point in Yedidyah's life, everything he did good, I've never actually ever seen him do something bad, but anything he's done good, his parents got credit for. But when the moment that he says this blessing, he's going to transition in our community and be considered an adult, where we're going to put the responsibility of himself, of this community, of this city, and of this world on his shoulder. And so when you get to these moments, when you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning feeding them as babies, you're thinking, I wonder what that bar mitzvah is going to be like. And this is the actual moment from those 3 a.m. nights that we're actually standing at right now. And so when we get here, it's important to just pause and realize how sacred the time that we are in. So think to your most profound memory of Yedidyah. Look where you're sitting now. And then join us in the Shechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lahazman hazeh Yahamod Yedidyah Elisha ben Hachazan Ariel Yonatan Vetziva Liba, for it to be called to the honor of blessing our Torah, our bar mitzvah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
V'kidashtem et shanat ha'hamishim shana ukrotem deror ba'aretz lecho yoshvecha yovel kiv tihiyeh lachem v'shavtem ish el achuzato ve'ish el mishpachto tashuvu yovel kiv shenat ha-hamishim shana tihiyeh lachem lo tizra'u velo tikseru et sifichecha velo tivseru et nizirecha ki yovel hiv kodesh tihiyeh lachem min hasadeh tochlu et tivuatah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam natan v'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
And can I have your biggest Yasher Koyach of the entire morning? Yasher Koyach! Yahamod Hagbavagolelit. I'd like to invite up Eli, Ariani, Sophie, Maya, Ezra, Violet, Abe, Zev, Sam, Joseph, Ira, and Opal to help us lift and dress the Torah.
Please rise. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. Haftarah reading this morning is taken from the book of Jeremiah. We're in chapter 32. If anybody is looking in a Plout and you want to call out the number, unless we have it. Say it again. Thank you. We're on page 1003 in the Plout commentary. We're reading from Jeremiah chapter 32, starting at verse 21. But first, Yedidyah will give us the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar binvim tovim veratza v'divrehem hanemarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai Chabocher Batorah Umoshe Avdo Uvisrael Amo Uvinvieh Ha'emet Vatzedek Vatotzei Et Amcha Et Yisrael Me'eretz Mitzrayim Be'otot Umoftim Uviad Hazakah Uezroa Netuya Uvmora Gadol Vatitan Lahem Et ha'aretz hazot asher nishbata la'avotam latet lahem eretz zavat halav udivash. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol ha'olamim Sadiq b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'osei hamdaber umekayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lichavod ultifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umevarechim otach yitbarach shimcha b'fi kol chai Talmid leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. In about 2 months, I am heading to Camp Newman, and for the first time, I'm going for 4 weeks. I've been going to camp my whole life, not all at Newman. I love camp because it is a place where I can be myself, and all the worries that I have during the normal year are gone. There is no school, there are no deadlines. It is the ultimate place where I am able to be who I want to be. I guess you could say I use my whole self at camp in a way I don't any other time of the year. And there is no other experience I can think of that is more exhausting than camp. Whenever I get home from camp, I am exhausted to my core. I go from engaging with others, talking, laughing, doing sports, pool, insane dancing, and then I get home and I cease all of this. I collapse on my couch and watch TV. No longer talking, no longer laughing or moving, just resting, giving myself space to recoup after such intensity. This week's Torah portion is about just that. It is about a deep focus on rest. Rest for the land, rest for the people, and rest for the animal. In each instance, the land, the time, the animals are used to their maximum potential, which is great, but it takes a toll, and there needs to be a space for rest and a time to refill. It starts with God telling Moses that in the land he is assigning to the Israelites, the land itself shall observe a Sabbath, or rest, every 7th year. And that 7th year you can't eat any aftergrowth. However, you can eat whatever the land shall produce for you. Then, around every 49 years, God tells Moses that you will observe a Jubilee year, and in the Jubilee year, you can't reap or sow. One of the major questions that arose in this week's Parsha is examining the mitzvah for caring for the poor and how it relates to the sabbatical year. As with most things in Judaism, there is not a singular view on this text. The first commentator that I looked at was Maimonides. Maimonides was a Jewish philosopher and was born around the year 1138. Maimonides believed that letting the land rest for a year helps it regain its strength, and he saw a social and ethical benefit in Jubilee years because they erase debts and give to the poor. I somewhat agree with him on this, as while there is an ethical benefit, it could also make someone else poor, because while the Jubilee rules erase all debts, that means that people that loan money aren't going to get it back. In San Francisco, this could change a lot of things, one of them being a possible lower rate of homelessness, as debts would be erased and as a major cause of homelessness. However, many banks could possibly go under because they wouldn't be getting all the debt they were owed back. It could also potentially crash the economy. The second commentator that I looked at was Rashi. Rashi was a French rabbi born in the year 1040. Like Maimonides, Rashi saw that giving the land a break would help it renew itself. And while he didn't know about natural fertilization, he was right that giving the land a break can sometimes help it. This theory was applied during the initial outbreak of COVID, when everyone was stuck inside for months. Because everyone was inside and wasn't flying or driving, the Earth got a major break from CO2 emissions, and there was a positive effect. So large of an effect that entire ecosystems started coming back because of less air pollution. Finally, I looked at Ibn Ezra, a Spanish biblical commentator born in 1089. He suggests that the every 7-year cycle is very similar to the way God created the universe in 6 days, needing the 7th day to rest. And he says the land needs a year to rest every 7 years. I think this makes sense, as the land may need a year to rest just like God needed a day to rest. You can see an example of this in the NBA, as recently coaches have started giving players breaks so that they don't tire out and then can do well in the playoffs. After generations of commentators sharing their view on this text, now it is my turn to stand up and share what I believe. I believe that the Jubilee year is about seeing where we are as a society. It is almost like a yearly physical at the doctor. You go to the doctor and they check in on how you're doing overall. The Jubilee year is like a societal check-in on how the entirety of the society is doing economically. Are people able to survive? Is society actually healthy? The Jubilee maybe is not meant to be taken literally as a way to wipe away all ownership, since that seems impossible in the 21st century. So maybe we should not take it as it's written on its face, but instead see it as a moment once every 50 years to do a deep dive on where we are as a society. We should look when there is a Jubilee year and see if people are able to live. Think of it this way. San Francisco is a very wealthy city, and the rent is some of the highest in the country. The problem is that people are doing everyday jobs, like being a teacher, that are being forced out of the city because they don't make enough money to fulfill a basic need of a roof above their heads. An example of this is firefighters, who are getting paid an average of around $57,000 per year. This is well below the poverty line for a family in San Francisco. If you look at our own city, for example, HUD defined low income limits in San Francisco as $82,200 for an individual and $117,400 for a family of four in 2018. If you take that data and compare it to the teacher salary given in SF, our SFUSD teachers get paid $60,000 a year. Now, why do I look at teachers? Because what they do is prepare the future. They're the ones training our future society. So if our current day society thinks that the value of a teacher is at a poverty level, it is safe to assume that we as a society are not healthy and need a reset. You can see in the average pay San Francisco teachers are getting, they are legally under the poverty line in San Francisco. So this is the moment of all of us going to the doctor for our society's annual checkup. I think it is safe to say we really need some help. To fix this problem, really? You think I know the solution? I wish I did. But what we see is a societal problem that few would disagree with, but something so widespread, it needs a widespread solution by all of us. So my hope for us and for you is that you don't think I need to fix it all. No, rather the way to look at it is how in my own sphere of influence do I see if we are healthy, and then move my world towards a place that is healthier. The Torah talks about a Jubilee year, not for a few members of society, but for all of society, because our concern should not just be on ourselves, but everyone. You cannot solve the world's problems on your own. You are going to need help to solve problems, as it says in Pirkei Avot 2:16. Rabbi Tarfon used to say, "It is not your duty to finish the work, but neither are you at liberty to neglect it." That is what I hope brings in your mind the words from Rabbi Tarfon, that I need to engage in fixing our world, even if we are not able to complete the work. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yasher Koach.
Yedidyah Osher Locke.
Yedidyah. Your first name means friend of God or beloved by God.
When we named you this, after my Nana, your great-grandmother, Jane Fanny Thomas Greenberg, we of course knew that you were already beloved by God and by your family, but we had no idea how significant the notion of friendship in your namesake would manifest itself.
Yedidyah, from your earliest toddler days and now into your early teenage years, you have always been a true friend. Yes, a friend of God, but also a friend to all those who are lucky enough to know you.
Trustworthy, considerate, self-aware, deeply inclusive, ethical, and always up for having fun.
You are, as your name suggests, a true friend.
Osher, your middle name means happiness. The name Osher honors my Oma, your great-grandmother, Patty Chapin.
Yedidyah Osher, you are a wellspring of happiness. The joy that you emanate while doing the things that you love is inspiring, whether it's playing soccer, watching your favorite sports teams, hanging with your buddies, being at Camp Newman, and so much more.
When you were in preschool, one of your teachers pulled me aside and said, Yedidyah embodies such a wonderful combination of 90% pure goodness and 10% mischief.
Yedidyah Osher, we bless you with continued goodness, with enthusiasm and joy, and the ability to move through the world in your uniquely kind and thoughtful way.
Along with a sensible understanding of when to make a little mischief.
You have a deep moral compass. May it serve you well as you navigate challenges in the years to come.
As the oldest of your siblings, you have both the responsibility and what we hope at times feels like the privilege of setting the tone. You do this in a remarkably even-keeled way.
You have an intrinsic ability to give others the benefit of the doubt and to approach people with compassion and understanding.
We see your values and your needs and are always there to lend a hand along the way, along with this whole room, full of love and support. May all of us be your foundation as you transition to adulthood.
Yedidyah, one of your most touching attributes is your deep sense of empathy. As we came to the end of our almost 6 months in Tucson, helping Grandma to take care of Grandpa, and it was time to return to San Francisco, you and Grandpa finally shared what may have been your only hug during the entire 6-month visit. After the hug, Grandpa looked up at us and he said, he gets it.
Grandpa was right about you, Yedidyah. Grandpa had the unique experience of having you help take care of him while he was also contemplating his own life's journey. When Grandpa told us he gets it, Grandpa was declaring that you, Yedidyah, Osher, Luck, understand the significance of being fully present in the moment, and that the most important thing is love. Love in both moments of joy and sadness.
This is your blessing, Yedidyah. We bless you in moments of joy with the ability to be present and enjoy them. In the moments of pain, we bless you with the ability to feel deeply, to give and receive love.
To help alleviate the pain of others, to help alleviate the pain of others through love and allow them to alleviate your pain as well.
Yedidyah, your grandpa also had a tradition that he started with Grandma for their 5 children at their B'nai Mitzvah services. At this moment of the service, Grandpa would bless his children with an additional Hebrew name.
Today, in front of your family, your friends, and your community, we revive that tradition.
Today, we bless you, Yedidyah Osher, with the additional Hebrew name of Gedalia that you now share with your grandpa, Gary Luck, of blessed memory.
Gedalia means God is great. It is a fitting additional name for you. You, who already personify joy, is a loyal friend to all who are lucky enough to know you and is beloved by both God and your community.
We can think of no better embodiment of God's greatness than you, Yedidyah.
From this day forward, you will be known as Yedidyah Osher Gedalia Luck.
May this new full name continue to guide you on life's journey.
May it bring you comfort and connection to your ancestors, and may you go forth with love, friendship, joy, and humility in your heart.
Yedidyah Osher Gedalia Luck, we now bless you with the same words that we do every Friday night.
May God make you as Manasseh and Ephraim.
May God make you as Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you, keep you.
May God cause God's face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you.
And may God's light shine upon you, Yedidyah Osher Luck. And may God...
Sorry, Yedidyah Osher Gedalia Luck.
Oh, Gedalia Luck, yes.
And may God always bless you with peace.
There are so many people who helped me get here today. I want to start by thanking everyone who traveled to be here this morning, from near and far. And thanks to all of you who are watching at home from the live stream, from Canada to Israel and everywhere in between. Next, my entire family. I'm so grateful to have such a wonderful and loving extended family. From the moment I was born, I have always been surrounded by a love of Judaism. My grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins have always surrounded me with love, and I have learned so much from them. Thank you to all my teachers who helped me over the years to prepare for this moment. Thank you to both my Hebrew school and YFE teachers. Thank you to Lisa Bialkin, my Hebrew reading and blessings teacher. Thank you to our maintenance staff for making everything happen. Thank you to our security team for keeping everyone safe. Thank you to all the musicians who are here with us today and our sound engineers who allow us to be heard. Thank you to Cantor Atti for helping me in my final preparations. Thank you to Rabbi Bauer, my guide rabbi, for not only helping me to prepare for my bar mitzvah, but also being the father of my best friend Asa. I really appreciate your family always letting me sleep over. I also want to thank the rest of the Emanu-El clergy for being there throughout my life, and a sincere thanks to the entire staff of Congregation Emanu-El. I want to thank my sisters. Zohara, you are such a wonderful sister. You have always been there for me. I'm so grateful we have each other. You are so funny and so fun to be around, and you are the best almost twin sister that a brother could ask for. Tallulah, you always make everyone feel so happy because you are always so happy. I love dancing with you, and when you jump on me with pillows. I love giving you piggyback rides and laughing with you. I am so lucky to have you as my sister. Also, a very special thanks to my parents. Papa, all my life, you have been the person I look up to the most. You do so much for our family. I love you. Mom, you are the most caring person in the world. You support me in everything I do. I am so grateful that I know I always have you to confide in. I love you. Finally, as part of Congregation Emanu-El Remembers, I would like to dedicate my bar mitzvah to the memory of Chaim Sis. Chaim Sis was born in Latvia in 1935. If he were here today, Chaim Sis would be 87 years old. Instead, tragically, at the age of 7, Chaim Sis became one of the 1.5 million Jewish children whose lives were taken during the Holocaust at the hands of the Nazis. Chaim Sis never got to have a bar mitzvah. Every year at Yom Kippur, I will commit myself to saying Kaddish for Chaim Sis. May his memory be a blessing.
I would like to invite up Rabbi Beth Singer and Rabbi Jonathan Singer up to the bima as we begin to return the Torah to the Ark. We are on page 256. Please rise.
Me
Well, Yedidyah, you are a real temple kid, you and your sisters. You know how to make the kiddush cups into just the right shapes and where to find the candy. You know it all. And it has just been the greatest pleasure watching you grow these past years. My blessing for you is that you get to spend the rest of the summers of your life one way or another at camp, your happiest place, as a camper, a counselor, maybe one day as a camp director, a rabbi, or a cantor, or a dad, and that when you're not at camp, that you continue to feel that just intense connectedness with God and with your friends and with your community, wherever you are in life.
Can you own? Yedidyah, you are a CK, a cantor's kid. But the talit fits you. It's your talit. It's your Judaism. And we look forward to looking at you and seeing your generation carry the blessings and the hopes and the joy and the values of Torah forward. You already live those values. We see it in you in the light that comes from you. What an honor it is now for us to be able to count you in the minyan.
Can you hear out song? Yedidyah, I have known you for quite a while now. I was just telling you before the service, I remember even when you had long hair. Yedidyah, the thought that always comes to mind in watching you over all these years is the idea that still waters run deep, because there is a depth to you. I think in all of the chaos of all of these past years, if you look at sailboats, they have a very deep and very heavy keel, so it doesn't really matter how much wind blows, they stay right. And that's the effect you have on the people around you, is that depth and that solidness about you. Today we hand you that Torah because we want you to take that depth and that honesty that you have in the world and to carry it forward, to change this community, this city, and this world. I cannot wait to see what you take with that blinding light that you have inside of you and carry it forward into the world.
We're on page 282 for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kachem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu koreim u'mishtachadim u'modim lifnei melech
we near the end of our service, the rabbis put in there the mourner's Kaddish as a reminder of whose shoulders we stand upon, and without them we would not be who we are, or we may not even be here. The Luck family is remembering Gary Luck today, as well as Vivian Berger. If there's someone who you are remembering, please share their name when my hand passes over you. My great-grandmother, Irma Hirsch. We're on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabba, v'yamad divrach u'tei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabba mavarach le'olam omei almaya, yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'tadar v'taleh v'talal shmei d'gudasha bruchu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nachamata damiran be'ama v'imramen Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imramen Oseh shalom b'mramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all of Israel, to all of Ukraine, and to all of the world. And let us all say amen.
And if you'd like to put your arms around the person next to you, you're welcome to join. Oh, say shalom b'rama, Hallelujah, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei
So as Yedidyah is leading us in the Saturday morning Kiddush, our Ark openers have graduated to candy passers. And so they will be handing out candy to everyone here. And if you could take a handful and hold on to it. And then after this, we are going to shower Yedidyah in candy. We're on page 300.
And while that's happening, I want to thank Eric Schoen and Jonathan Ferris and Dick Bright and John Hurton and the beautiful choir. Thank you so much for blessing us with beautiful music this morning.
B'nai Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Ledortam berit olam V'shamru B'nai Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Ledortam berit olam Irini uvein B'nai Yisrael Oti leolam Oti leolam V'shamru B'nai Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Ledortam berit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai Asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledortam berit olam Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat v'nafash Shabbat v'nafash Shabbat v'nafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledortam berit olam Al kain barach Adonai et yom ha-Shabbat v'kadshehu Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei peri hagafen.
So on the count of 3, if we could throw the candy up here and wish him a big mazal tov. Echad. And then you're going to be invited to come and pick up the candy. Shtaim. Shalosh. Mazal tov. So I'm going to ask everyone here to take their prayer book in one hand, because I'm going to try to give our staff a little bit of Shabbat too, because when you leave, I'm going to ask you to put it back on the cart. Once you have your prayer book in one hand, I want you to come and squish down into the middle and either touch the challah or touch someone who's touching the challah. I mean it. Come and squish all the way down. And we're going to make a huge challah chain. So come and touch someone who's touching 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 the challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz v'te'avon. Mazel tov!
you, Cantor Luck.